Our movie opens with the dramatic fall of a large meteorite just outside the Hamburg area, signaling the onset of an alien invasion that swiftly engulfs the entire region, leaving humanity powerless to halt their advance. A worldwide war erupts between humans and the invaders, known as the Mimics, resulting in millions of casualties. However, after 5 grueling years, humanity begins to turn the tide, thanks largely to the development of a super suit and effective training regimens. The most notable user of this super suit is Rita Vertowski, referred to as the Angel of Verdun, who emerges as a beacon of hope in the fight against the Mimics. We then meet Major Kigo, who is en route to the headquarters of the United Defense Forces in London. His mission is to plan Operation Downfall, aimed at liberating areas from the grip of the Mimics. Upon arrival, he meets with the general and insists on needing to be on the battlefield to rally support for the war effort and encourage enlistment in the army and the use of the super suit. However, Kik is resolute in his refusal to engage in combat, especially given his lack of experience, and attempts to escape. This leads to his apprehension, resulting in him losing consciousness. When he awakens, he finds himself at the front lines and encounters Sergeant K, requesting to contact his superiors in Washington. He is informed that all communications are cut off as they prepare to liberate the French region. Even if there were a means to contact anyone, a deserter like him would have no such privilege. Initially assigned to his battalion, he discovers the soldiers are occupied with a card game, hiding the cards under their covers. As punishment for this, they are forced to eat the playing cards. This scenario prompts K to don the suit for the first time, during which he feels a surge of vitality, with Rita as their leader. As they prepare to engage in battle, their plane suffers a missile attack just a minute before landing. The troops jump from the aircraft, marking Kik's first experience on the battlefield, witnessing combat for the first time. Tragically, a missile strikes Rita, causing her death. Overwhelmed, K attempts to flee the chaos, but is ultimately surrounded by his battalion, leading him to retaliate and take a bomb, detonating it on himself. K dies and promptly awakens once more at the front, as if trapped in a recurring nightmare. He encounters Sergeant Farrell again, and finds himself repeating the same phrases as before. Shocked and bewildered, he returns to his battalion, and during their mission to the battlefield, he switches suits, only to realize he remembers the series of events: his ascent into the plane, the descent onto the battlefield, and his inevitable death. After boarding the plane again, it comes under attack before they can even disembark. He spots Rita and leaps to save her just as a missile threatens her life, but this requires so much of his suit that he becomes immobilized. Left behind, he succumbs to another attack from a mimic. After waking for the 3rd time on the battlefield, he rushes to Farrell to plead with him, asserting they need to withdraw from the operation because he knows it will lead to disaster. Rather than heeding his warnings, Farrell restrains him and returns him to the battalion, which again tries to convince him of the reality of their situation. They mention familiar names among the group, recounting their previous card games, yet no one believes his claims. They dismiss him, and yet again, the same tragic course unfolds. The plane is hit by a missile, and he dies. K revives on the battlefield a 4th time, then a 5th, and yet again a 6th. Each time, he experiences a significant upgrade in skills and abilities forged from repeatedly confronting the combat. Meanwhile, he resolves to warn Rita about the impending massacre they face from the Mimics. However, when he reaches Rita, she instructs him that when he wakes up again, he should seek her out. Just then, an explosion engulfs them, resulting in their death once more. Subsequently, Cage awakens, exhibiting a sense of premonition, anticipating actions before they unfold. He integrates himself back with his battalion, distributing playing cards while reintroducing himself. As the sergeant moves on to conduct drills, Cage decides to seek out Rita as she instructed. During the exercises, he eludes capture and finds her, relaying that it was her directive that led him to search for her. She informs him that she too once had this ability, experiencing a daily reset upon her death, attributed to a rare type of bloodshed upon her. Unfortunately, she has since lost this power. In a bid to assist each other, they collaborate towards achieving victory in the war. Cage beings to train under Rita. Carl, an expert in particle physics, had previously studied Rita's case and is considered one of the foremost authorities regarding the Mimics. He elaborates to Cage on the operational hierarchy within the Mimics, revealing that they are all directed by a central entity known as Omega, which possesses the ability to manipulate time. The Alpha, acting as Omega's right hand, when killed, triggers Omega to reset the day to safeguard the Alpha. When K died, his blood entered Rita's, leading to his power to reset the day. Now K must die repeatedly until they can confront and destroy Omega, ultimately ending the conflict. Cage is also expected to acquire visions that will direct him to Omega's whereabouts. Training commences, and Rita warns him that he must commit suicide if he gets injured. She lost her reset power during her last encounter after sustaining severe injuries and transfusing blood from another individual. Their training progresses until K finally experiences a vision of a location akin to the one Rita described, enabling him to pinpoint Omega's location, which he communicates to Carl and Rita. They strategize on how best to approach Omega's destruction. After numerous failings to alter the outcome of the battles without casualties, K begins to despair over the chances of winning or defeating Omega. In desperation, he approaches Omega's location alone to confirm its position, only to realize that it was a deception and that his previous visions were misleading. Consequently, he sacrifices himself to inform Carl and Rita about the truth. Carl speculates that had his device functioned properly, they would have determined Omega's location by now. The device can pinpoint Omega if it is placed on any microphone, revealing that it's hidden in a government structure. Determined, they set out to acquire it, persevering through countless attempts to persuade the general. Ultimately, the general supplies the device but betrays them by ordering their arrest. In the midst of their escape, the device is activated, allowing them to locate Omega beneath the Louvre Museum. However, during their flight, Carl is injured and they lose consciousness. When Kay regains consciousness, he finds himself restrained in a hospital after a blood transfusion. Rita arrives to assist with their escape, and they resolve to confront Omega directly. They enlist the help of K's battalion, who are skeptical yet receptive. K manages to convince them, stating he possesses intimate knowledge of their missions, emphasizing that he has known them beyond a single day. They agree to work together, heading to Paris, where the Louvre resides. As they approach the museum, their aircraft is ambushed, crashing near the building. In a brave move, 2 members of the battalion sacrifice themselves to draw the enemy's attention, while the remaining soldiers strive to pilot the plane for a closer approach to the museum. The team makes a hard push to get Kay and Rita to Omega's coordinates, where an emotional standoff ensues. Rita attempts to keep the mimics at bay until Kay reaches Omega, but tragedy strikes when a mimic kills Rita, threatening Kay before he can execute Omega's destruction. In a final act of defiance, Kay manages to destroy Omega just before succumbing to the mimics for the last time. Once again, Cage awakens aboard the plane heading towards the United Defense Forces headquarters in London. News floods in about the complete collapse of the alien forces, attributed to a massive energy discharge emanating from Paris. He rushes to the front lines, where he discovers his entire battalion has survived. He finds Rita, ensuring she is alive, and approaches her, affirming that they are now free to start anew, getting to know one another once again. And thus concludes our tale. If you've reached so far in our video, you're officially awesome. Thanks for sticking around with Chat Craze. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to leave a nice comment. Until next time.